That is exactly what I'm saying. Everything that you are gifted with must be translated into value. In as much as you give value out to people, but also value must come back to you.
EBIS 2FM.
With all this blend of abilities and capabilities, what is the contribution that I'd like to make to humanity? What is the contribution that I'd like to make to life?
So in essence, answering the question of what should I do with my life, or what should I do with my so-called, in commas, important time, does that answer the question?
It does, but then there is a temptation to go for something that other people have told you that it is your purpose, because now there is your true purpose and there's the collective purpose, or what other people or what society defines as purpose for people. The society can tell you that your purpose maybe should be being a pastor or so many other things. But where you truly find your purpose is when you begin to go inward self, and now you look at the things that you really truly love doing without any pressure from anyone. You look at the things that you love doing, and now you allow yourself to be vulnerable by putting yourself out there and honoring those things. Society may not be saying those are the right things that you need to pursue, but you need to get to a point where you step out and you become vulnerable and you start honoring that which you love doing. Because I always say, there is a reason why you love doing what you love, and society, or the whole, as I normally call it, needs what you love, because there is a reason why you are the person that you are. There is a reason why you have all the blend of abilities and capabilities that you have, because society needs those.
It's coming up to 7:38 your time into our session this morning with a conscious success coach, the Mr. Mduduzi Lamin, and we just before the quick breather, you talked of purpose being the thing that you're called to do, like on a daily basis, the thing that you love to do. I in my mind, my scope, I get to imagine the things that you want to do even when you're not getting paid to do them. That's which translates to purpose.
Yeah.
But then oftentimes we find ourselves with what you've just mentioned as the societal beliefs that you're called to do this. And when we find ourselves doing something else, how do we get to tackle, how do we get to differentiate if you are in the right direction?
There are two contexts that we can live our lives. We can live our lives on the survival context, or we can live our lives on the purpose context. I'm going to break this thing down. On the survival context is about us human beings surviving. It is about us, the human species, surviving. So the survival context is only made of you meeting your survival needs, which is food, accommodation, clothing. So most of us, that is where we are. A lot of human beings, that is where their lives are based. They are based on the survival context. Everything about them is about survival. Whether you're getting a better job, whether you're getting a better car or better house, or you're eating better food, it's all focused on the survival context. But there's a higher level or another context in which you can live your life. That is the purpose context. The purpose context, that is where you now live for something that is above your survival needs. Now you live for something that is of meaning, that is of purpose, that is of significance. So you decide. Unfortunately, you have to decide, although we don't make those decisions.
Yeah,
you decide where you are going to live your life. Are you going to live your life based on the survival context, or are you going to live your life on the purpose context? Unfortunately, when you live your life on the survival context, there are certain experiences that you will never have in life. When you live your life on the survival context, there are certain goals that you will never get to set in life, because you can only set those goals if you live in a context that is outside the survival context. Then those goals are normally found in the purpose context. In the purpose context is an expansive context. It is a context that allows you to do so so many things. But the survival context is only focused on or limited on the three things: accommodation, food, clothing, and or shelter, if I may say it like that. But the purpose context is expansive. It allows you to do so many things, and also at the same time it also allows you to address your survival needs. And that is very, very important, because now when you live in the purpose context, in as much as you do whatever it is that you love doing and you are mindful of everything, you can also still attend to your survival needs. You can still attend to your issues of food, clothing, and shelter. And that is a beautiful context to live your life in, the purpose context.
In a nutshell, you need to try and align and change that passion, whatever that you do, to be one shot. For instance, not to go out there and do this job whilst at the end of the day you are called for this. Try and change. Are you saying we should try and change whatever passion we have to be the very same that pays the bills?
That is exactly what I'm saying. Everything that you are gifted with must be translated into value. In as much as you give value out to people, but also value must come back to you. In as much as you are passionate about music, music must sustain you. Music must make your existence here on earth comfortable. So whatever it is that you have been given, it must somehow bring value back to you. So that is where the business side of purpose comes in. How do you translate your purpose into value? How do you translate your purpose to be something that sustains you? Because everything that you do must sustain you in one way or the other. It's not enough to go out there and give value, but nothing comes back to you. In as much as you give value, value must come back to you.
Now, as you talk about the purpose and the value, a number of questions popping in my mind. What makes me come alive? What would I do if nobody was supposed to pay me? What will I do if I knew very well there's a possibility that I might fail? Is it true that a number of people out there are waking up every day not knowing their purpose?
Yeah, it's true. A lot of people don't know their purpose, and it is unfortunately the part of the system that we live in, because it does not allow us to focus on our purpose. Because when we, like I said the other time, when we incarnate into this thing called life, we found certain tracks already put in place, and we are told that you can only be a teacher, a doctor, a police officer, a preacher, or this or that. So now we come with these giftings, we come with all these abilities that we have, and now we need to go into those tracks that were predetermined for us. We are told that you need to be A, B, C, D, and E. And unfortunately, a lot of people, because of that, they never get to explore themselves fully. They never get to explore their potential fully, because now they have to be a square in a round hole. They have to fit in what has been given or has been put before them. So that is the unfortunate thing. A lot of people are living lives that are unexplored, either because of fears, some fears that they have, or because maybe they really do not know how they can explore themselves and are not even given the ability or the opportunity to explore themselves. Because a lot of people, like I always say, a lot of people get to the end of their life without having explored themselves. And what I stand for is that a person or human beings must fully explore themselves. Every day you must explore yourself, and not only explore yourself, explore and express yourself authentically. Get to a position where you express yourself. Get to a position where you now get to be vulnerable by putting yourself out there, like I'm doing this morning. I've put myself out there. I'm vulnerable. Being here is a position of vulnerability. And that is what life is all about. Life is all about getting yourself out there. You know that you stand for something. You know that you want to express something. You know that there's something that really tickles your fancy. Now get up, take yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable. And the more you make yourself vulnerable, the universe or even God is going to recognize your effort. But a lot of people are not prepared to make themselves vulnerable. They are not prepared to take themselves out there, because they think that this thing is not going to give me any money, or it's not going to give me any value. But the more you do it, the more you're doing, you will get to a point where now things will start working for you. And that is the awesome thing about purpose. Purpose God will always sustain your purpose. God will always give you the thing that you need for you to be alive if you pursue and are true to your purpose.
At 7:46 our time. It's exactly 14 minutes before the hour of 8. And most unfortunately, we're coming into the point in time where we rounding off our session, and I'm sure that we also going to be giving Mr. Lemon is also going to be giving us a little bit of a highlight of the topic that we're going to be talking about, which is the session that we're going to be the fourth one, and the last one at this moment in time, as we get to talk about conscious success, and quite an inspiring and touching one that we get to talk about today, purpose. And I'm sure that is going to also ignite your mind out there to rethink, ignite that curiosity level, to desire to know more, to desire to learn. And I'm sure also it's going to also ignite a certain point in your life where you are going to be examining yourself, trying to see your motives, where you are, where you're going, and also finding out what is this pure and honest thing that I will do and will give me that energy and that momentum. We are here tomorrow again, Mr. Lemon, for the last time, of course, at this point in time. What are we going to be talking about, and how best would you invite our listeners?
We've come a long way since January. There's a lot of things that we want to accomplish, or that we set out to accomplish in January. And a lot of us are realizing that by now, those things are not going to happen. Now we're just about June. We're heading towards the second half of the year. A lot of us are realizing that those things are not going to come to pass. They're not going to happen. And now we need now to have a different conversation. Why are all our goals not happening? Why are all our goals not coming to fruition? And tomorrow we're going to be looking at that subject. How do you get yourself to a point where you experience flow in your life? How do you get to a point where you really experience yourself as a creative power? So tomorrow we're going to be looking at that, and this is in conjunction with the seminar that I'll be having over the weekend, where we look at how you complete things in your life to a point where you now move into creation, where how you experience yourself as a creative power. So tomorrow we're going to be looking at that, completing things and creating things, moving from being stuck or from stuckness to a position where you get to be in flow in life, and things are working for you and life is working for you.
EBIS 2FM.